An ordinary man once met a wild boar in the forest, after which his life changed in the most incredible way. The story of Garrick and his tamed wild boar Yasha began unexpectedly and fascinatingly. One day, during one of his frequent hikes through the forest, Garrick came across a small wild piglet that was all alone and shaking pitifully under a bush. Realizing that the piglet had lost his mother and was now unlikely to survive alone, Garrick decided to take him under his care. So began their amazing adventure together. Of course, Garrick immediately realized that taming a wild boar would be a very difficult task. He started small, offering Yasha food and gradually gaining his trust. The first days were especially difficult because the piglet was scared, very weak and distrustful of people. Garrick found a safe place in the forest where they could temporarily settle down, and began to take care of his little ward. Gradually, day by day, the wild piglet began to get used to Garrick's presence and began to perceive him as his protector and friend. Garrick, in turn, learned to understand Yasha's body language and habits, which allowed him to take better care of his amazing companion. The man carefully studied the behavior of the boar in order to anticipate its needs and reactions to what was happening around. Thanks to this, Yasha began to trust Garrick and followed him everywhere, like a faithful dog. On his YouTube channel, Garrick likes to share the details of this unusual friendship from the very beginning. In a 2-year-old video, he talks about the first steps in taming Yasha, how he taught a wild animal not to be afraid of people, how he fed and cared for it. Each step was very difficult, but Garrick showed patience and perseverance. He tried to record every important moment on video so that he could then share his experience with other people. Gradually, Yasha became not just a companion, but also a full-fledged participant in all Garrick's bushcraft expeditions, since the man is a real expert on survival and life in the wild with minimal use of modern tools and technologies. Together, this unusual couple went on long hikes more than once, explored forests, built shelters and small forest houses and, of course, foraged for food. In one of the videos, Garrick shows how Yasha diligently helps him build a hut in a dense forest. The boar digs the ground, collects branches and even helps to tamp down the walls of the future dwelling. Garrick is absolutely sure that wild boar is much more useful in a long forest hike than most people. The truly extreme winter hikes have become especially interesting. In one of these trips, Garrick and Yasha spend time in the winter forest and live together in a dugout. Garrick demonstrates how you can survive in harsh conditions when the temperature drops below zero and the snow covers everything with a thick layer. Yasha is nearby at this time, playing the role of a faithful friend and companion who can warm you with his warmth on the coldest nights. It is very interesting to watch how Garrick teaches Yasha to look for food in the forest. Yasha, having a keen sense of smell, helps Garrick find edible roots and mushrooms better than any bloodhound. This skill became especially useful in survival conditions, when two people went into the forest without any supplies, and every crumb of food was worth its weight in gold. During these hikes, Garrick himself learned a lot by watching Yasha use his natural instincts and incredible sense of smell to find food. Garrick likes to share his observations of Yasha's behavior. He tells how the boar reacts to various sounds and smells of the forest, how it protects the camp from uninvited guests and how it expresses its emotions. Yasha, like a faithful watchdog, warns the man about the approach of wild animals, making characteristic sounds and boldly standing up to protect their camp. Garrick learned to understand these sounds and actions, which more than once helped them both avoid dangerous situations and always be ready. One day, during another hike, the two unexpectedly came across the tracks of a bear, and soon he himself appeared. Yash, without hesitation, stood between Garrick and a huge forest predator, demonstrating his loyalty and willingness to protect his friend, even at the cost of his own life. Fortunately, the bear soon disappeared into the thicket, apparently deciding not to mess with the brave couple. This case showed how strong the bond between a human and an animal is when they are united by a common goal, mutual trust and years of friendship. After such adventures and incredible mutual help, Yasha, of course, became one of Garrick's best friends. The wild boar also participates in many household chores, helps in the garden area and interacts perfectly with other pets. Garrick shares the joy of watching his unusual friend become a full member of the family, finding a common language with children and other pets. Interaction with other animals was not always smooth, but over time, Yasha and Garrick's pets learned to live in peace and harmony. Garrick is sure that Yasha has changed his life forever, and their joint forest hikes have become much longer, more interesting and productive thanks to the skills of the boar. The two of them had to go through difficulties and trials more than once. They survived several severe storms when strong winds and rain destroyed their temporary shelters. Together with Yasha, they had to react quickly and build new shelters, and if a heavy downpour started during the hike, Yasha always helped to collect branches and leaves in order to make a strong canopy as quickly as possible and protect himself from the weather. Garrick even taught Yasha a few commands. The boar turned out to be an excellent student, and he gladly executes human commands such as stand, go forward, lie down, and many others. Garrick tries to spend each of his trips usefully and collects medicinal plants and berries in the forest that in such situations, Yasha becomes simply irreplaceable. Thanks to the boar's excellent sense of smell, the collection process is much faster, and the two always return home with a full backpack of useful plants. For Garrick and Yasha, every day is a new adventure. They explore forests, rivers and mountains, boldly entering the thickest thicket, where no human has ever set foot, and just enjoy each other's company. Once, the boar was even able to find an old, long-abandoned village. The two walked around several dilapidated houses, looking with interest at the dishes and tools that our ancestors used many years ago. Then Garrick passed on information about this amazing village to scientists so that they could carefully study the ancient artifacts. That's how the wild boar forever changed the life of the kind man who saved him, becoming his faithful friend, permanent and very useful partner in extreme forest hikes. And even a real member of his family.